Hello, welcome back to our show. You
just made the blooper reel.
Take two. Hello, I'm Reginald Bullock, and I hope you enjoy the episodes that you might have been watching prior to. And if you haven't, tune in to watch Living Life with me, Reggie B, and
Trey Wilder here. Hope y'all are having a good one. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Reggie, this is a good day. It's a good episode. I feel very positive about this.
You feel positive about this?
I feel very positive about this. I ain't gonna hold you. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Please forgive me. I think that's a nice little touch off of that. So give me a little.
Well, you know, in the old school, they would say, charge it to the head and not charge it. They say, you know, if I ever missed anybody, if I didn't say your name, well, you know how you go name and you charge it to the head. You know, if I missed you, charge it to the head and not the heart.
You can forget.
So we say some stuff. Forgive us. Please forgive us. Charge it to the head and not the heart. Speaking of forgive.
Well, I mean, I guess before we get to the forgive part, how you living?
I'm living good, man. I'm so blessed. You know, I got a chance to go to the African American Federal Executive Conference, where some of the most senior African Americans in federal government are all coming together to communicate like-minded information and help educate, train, mentor, and grow the young executive, the GS-13s, GS-14s, GS-15s to the FCS level, to the senior executive service level. And the workshops and the dynamics that go on there from a DEIA, you know, that's diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, is for real. You have high-level folks in government treating each other like brothers and sisters and mentoring folks like brothers and sisters. Matter of fact, Stedman came.
Oprah?
Yeah.
Oh, Stedman, I was just talking about cuz. Okay.
Yeah, he came and he was the guest speaker, man. And he just talked about so many things that, you know, we take for granted of who we are. But at the same time, we don't know who we are because we don't have control over ourselves. And the message that he gave just was so positive in being able to allow you to have ownership of you, right? And to see it, right? And to be able to use that to help other people. And so I did a little backdoor action, so he may end up with my latest book and my latest CD. We'll see. But that environment was powerful. And then, of course, you know, I'm doing yard work, man. I had to treat the land, the soil, and everything to get rid of the weeds, put down grass seed. I'm getting stuff out of my garden to eat. You know, I'm cleaning the house. It's fall almost, right?
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready for that, leaving the windows open, you know, letting the place air out, and just living life. How about you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm not trying to get I never understand why you like doing yard work. Like you say that a couple times. I've always hated yard work, ladies and gentlemen. But my life is cool. That's sad. What? Listen, hey, dog. I got traumatized. Okay. I jokingly I say traumatized because again when I was 13 I had to do yard work. I got poison ivy. I hated yard work, bro.
So yard work is a euphemism for living life. Now, if you think about it, right? Those people who live to be 100, 105, 110, what do they all have in common? They're growing their own food. Yeah. They're getting up early in the morning. They're tending to the soil. They got all the nutrients and everything on their feet and hands, so it's going through their pores. So Mother Earth is giving back to them because they are working to give back to Mother Earth. So when I say yard work, I really mean I'm out in Mother Nature. And, you know, I've been blessed to have land. So I'm tending to the land so that the land can tend to me. You be good to the earth and the earth will be good to you. Now, that requires physical fitness. It requires endurance. It requires brain power. You know, I'm watching this show, Chinese food, right? And it ain't the Chinese food that we think about. Every region of China has their own specialized food. And the way they make it, it's like being a chemist. If you ever watch how they make something, it can take 5 days, it can take 5 months. Some stuff, it can take 7 years. Yeah, to prepare for something. Because it's all about the chemistry. And the chemistry is about being healthy. So the elements and compounds and covalent and ionic bond, all that stuff. They notice at a young age. So those folks are in their 90s, still doing it. In Peru, them folks are going up these hills, walking miles uphill and down at age 80 and 90. So it's because of yard work. While everybody else that's in environments that don't have yard work, you're not breathing the right air. Right? You got carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and the trees, plants, and everything filters that. Well, what if you're not around trees or plants? And if you're not outside doing that work? So what are you breathing versus what I'm breathing? What's your internal organs receiving versus what my internal organs receiving? Multiply that by 60, 70 years, and you've never had a real breath of fresh air. Whereas I get it every day, all day, because I'm doing yard. So I wanted to give it to you from that perspective, because when you get older, like we're talking about, when you get older in your 40s,
I'm gonna want to find a hobby
and stuff that starts to, come at you hard, and you're gonna be like, all right, it's like golf.
Yeah,
golf is executive hiking, but what are all of the golf people out there doing? Yard work. They out in a big giant yard, walking around.
Interesting way of looking at it.
And breathing fresh air. I call it executive hiking, right?
Okay.
Because I hike for it. Right? So I can do their kind of hiking, but not all of them can do my hiking.
Right.
But the point is, all hiking is fresh air. All fishing is fresh air.
Yeah,
all camping is fresh air.
I can get what you on camping. I can get what you on fishing. You say yard work, though, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But I mean, it's a right now thing, though, because again, I had to do it a good amount when I was young.
So it's a little bit when I was the word work that gets you out of your yard, because
yard work. It's yard. Like I promise you, it's the yard. I don't like cutting grass. I don't like picking weeds. Like none of that was appealing to me. I understand you have to do it, but I didn't like.
So cutting grass is grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you groom yourself?
I do. Like I get a little edge up here and there, but as you can see later, I got the habit. Yeah.
Comb your hair.
I don't comb my hair. We got braids. Shout out to Sean.
All right, but you got braids, right? So you take care of yourself. But how is yourself helping you to take care of yourself?
How was myself?
In other words, you take care of the yard, the yard takes care of you. I just showed you how that happens, right?
Yeah.
Because of the ecosystem. So if you don't give nothing to the ecosystem, why are you expecting something back from the ecosystem?
That's fair.
Have you earned it?
That's fair.
And so
that's fair.
As a member of the greatest fraternity in the world,
what's that?
Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Just making sure they didn't know.
I mean, isn't there a term called the yard?
Yeah.
And how did the yard come to be? Somebody had to work it, tend to it. And in order to keep it looking good and clean and smooth, And so to that point, got to do yard work.
That's fair.
So you're saying you don't want to do no yard work?
I don't want to. I don't want to do a lot of stuff, though. I don't want to go to work. I don't, you know what I'm saying? But we have to, though. Because it's part of society. So if I have a yard, like, yeah, fine. I'm gonna cut the yard. I might skimp on the weeds. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. That's one thing where I might skimp on sometimes. Like,
but there are ways of doing it.
I mean, you get a landscaper. You can do something. I would probably rather do it. Like, I'm gonna be cheap with it if I'm going. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna touch my yard. I'm gonna touch it. You ain't got to. I got you. But I just don't like doing the yard work. But that was a fair point you brought up, though.
That's what this show, Living Life, is about, right? We have two different perspectives. So I'm Reggie, I'm 61, and Trey,
I'm 31.
And so we have different cultural perspectives, we have different age perspectives, we have different experience perspectives. And this is what makes the show really good, because it's not that we agree or disagree, it's just his perspective, my perspective, in case it helps you with your perspective.
Exactly. And we might have actually just started off the show kind of nicely, because you might actually be making me say, I'm sorry to a yard that I don't even have right now.
You try to transition with this.
I like that.
Go ahead.
No, but genuinely, though, because like when you said, well, we're expecting stuff from the yard. Like, look, y'all want the yard to be green. You know what I mean? You want them bushes, them shrubberies to be looking nice, right? Well, if you ain't doing no work too, but why are we expecting stuff? That's like saying, I expect to have $1 million I ain't working off. Or I expect to have this person that to be my spouse. I ain't making necessary moves to make them be like to try and court them. Like,
or somebody expects to go viral and,
you're not putting
and be that what do you call it, influencer mogul.
Yeah,
and make $1 million.
Yeah, but you ain't doing no daggone work. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, so I from that vantage
you should become an influencer mogul, and you should have because you put this whole thing right here is your idea.
I like to say ours. You know, I don't like taking credit for stuff. You know what I'm saying? But no, like I think my problem is trying to go viral. Is a lot of times I think people just do it just to do it. And like it's a 15-minute worth of fame thing. I'd like to go viral and stay there. Like, I don't like the man personally as a basketball player.
Who you talking about?
You know I'm going with LeBron. I'm going. Well, I guess I did say Steph last time. Didn't I? Dag, about to mess up some NBA connections, but not like with Braun. I have not been the biggest Braun.
Always be slamming ball players.
Not always. It's just the last 2 episodes. I don't even want to count that as slamming. You know, like the Scottie Pippen one, that's not really a slam. That's just, it is what it is. That's tough across the board. Steph, I ain't really going at him. It's more so his fans. But like what Braun said, that he said, you know, success is something that's earned, not given. And I'm sure other people have said that before. But he's the one that I remember saying it. And that's very valid. So like when people go famous now, it's like, well, I feel like it's for a short period of time. Going back to like, I think E0, our pilot, we were talking about intelligence, you know, hustling.
Episode 0. Go ahead.
Like, I want to make sure that if I do go viral, I can sustain that. Because if not,
you want to make sure when you go viral, obviously, you guys.
When I go viral, apologize. See, that's why you have good counsel around. But like, I want to, like, when I go viral, I can sustain that. So, because if not, I feel like I'm gonna have to apologize to myself. I feel like I'm gonna have to apologize to other people because I feel like that.
Apologize for what?
For letting them down, letting me down. Like, to me,
for not going viral.
No. If I go viral and I don't stay the course,
well, I feel like you did the best you could. And I mean, there are certain one-hit wonders out there in music where that album they made was so incredible that they just couldn't top it, and they were satisfied. The world satisfied was still listening to it now. Scott Jarrett made a song called "The Image of You."
Okay,
and it is one of the best songs out there. You know, slow song. I won't start singing it, but the point is, when I went to go find that music, it was not available anywhere for download. So I had to buy the CD, but I got it on, I don't know, one of those not social media, but one of those buying type portals. Okay. And I paid $67 for the CD because he only made a few. But the point is, he didn't make any more after that, right? And so you might make a masterpiece. Made featuring Frankie Beverly. Remember the song Before I Let Go, and everybody remade it, right? But he hadn't made a new record or song since the early 80s or late 70s. And he just lived off of it. So you don't apologize for doing good work and now you can't do no more.
I look at it like we're in the entertainment business, right?
Okay.
So if my goal is to entertain you, yes, this one time was nice. That's cool. I'm 31. I'm looking to do this for like the rest of my life, essentially. So in my world, if I can only go viral like once, or if I go viral and then I fall off the map, I apologize. Because like that to me feels
apologize then. Why are you speaking that into existence? Here's the deal. If you create a masterpiece and then the next go round you don't hit that mark that you're trying to hit, then put the work in to hit the mark.
Oh yeah.
Right?
But see, that I would feel like if I try again, eventually I'm going to go viral again. I feel like people, when they don't go viral, it's because they have not planned out
viral. I never understood why people even say
it's the eyes, it's the
viewership. They're trying to go viral. So that, to me, it should be more about the craft, right? Viral is not the craft.
You're right, but again, you need to have those views, those eyes on you a little bit. I think
that's you should do all of that, but what about your craft? What about your skill set? What about your capability? Right? You know, all of that stuff. It's like when I watch these martial arts movies and whatnot, I see some cool aerial kicks and I call it Hollywood kicks, right? Yeah. And a lot of those folks are actually real martial arts, and they can do a lot of those moves. But in the ring, you don't do all that stuff at all, right? Yeah. And so in the ring, you know, you better have some skill sets.
A solid
you
foundation.
Better be solid. You better know your stuff. You better have mastered your craft.
Yeah.
I may come at you with like 5 different weapons. I say weapons, different types of punches and kicks and blocks. As opposed to the 50 to 70 that I know.
Mm-hmm.
I could do a jump spinning crescent kick and all aerial kicks and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can give you a step inside kick to your chest and knock you out the ring. Right? So the point is going viral. You made the point earlier, like knowing all this equipment, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have that foundation.
True.
So that's part of it. You also got to be able to articulate the language properly.
Exactly.
So people can understand. And you got to look good on camera, right? If you're on, a lot of times DJs on radio, you don't know that. But now you know what people look like. So there's so many elements to just that. We call it blocking and tackling in the sales business, right? Mm-hmm. Every football player needs to know how to block and tackle. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Quarterbacks need to know how to block and tackle, right? Everybody got to know that. So in the entertainment industry, mm-hmm. what are those blocking and tacklings? Now, when you get good at it, all right, you might go viral, you might not. If you don't go viral, are you mad?
No, and that's the thing. You can't get mad.
I see people get mad because they didn't go viral.
You can't.
And I see people just putting too much energy into trying to go viral.
Nah, see, I like to go viral. I would want to go viral if it happens.
And that's the success piece that you were talking about.
Exactly.
LeBron James said. So instead of going viral, you want to be successful. Because you could go viral and make no money.
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, so to your point about like maybe it's the terminology. So I of course I'd rather be successful. That means going viral.
It means going,
but you have to be able to sustain it. So like when we were talking about planning earlier, I'm sorry, E1, not E0. When you're like building your foundation, notice I've been thinking about, well, if this goes bad or if that goes bad, I want to have a plan in place in case that does occur. I'm not trying to bank on that. I just want to see, okay, well, if it does happen, I'm prepared for this as well too. So, but I think a lot of times I see people going viral, and then it's like, oh, well, did you ever think about you could do this, or like, what about just doing this, and it'll stretch out your fame for a little bit longer too. So like that
comes from coaching and mentoring and talking to other people who may have gone before you. It's like, I get a lot of people. I'm gonna be a lawyer. I'm like, all right, how many lawyers have you talked to? None. See, how many judges have you talked to? None. All right. So how many lawyers are you going to talk to? Oh, well, I was just doing my research. No, not good enough. You need to identify some lawyers. They need to see something in you that makes them think you could be a lawyer. And then y'all can start having that discussion that may lead to mentorship and friendship and all that other kind of stuff. At the same time is a lot of things end up in court. So talk to 1 or 2 judges. But if you're afraid to talk to a lawyer and you're afraid to talk to a judge, then you're afraid to get into your career because these are the people who will be teaching you in school. Yeah. So learn, right? Same thing with social media. Talk to somebody who's good at it.
Yeah,
and find out all of the do's and don'ts and pitfalls and things like that, so you don't make the same mistakes they did.
Yep.
And if they like you, they may help you out with resources or relationships.
Exactly.
That's building a business to be successful, not just going viral.
Yeah, you got to follow templates that are already out there. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, you need to go talk to a lawyer. If you want to be a basketball player, you need to go talk to a basketball player. Like, I would love to own my own network. Who do I need to talk to? Oprah. Real quick, how you doing? If you ever want to come on the show, you're more than welcome to, Oprah. I just want to say that real fast. But like, you got to study these people. You got to actually know what you're getting yourself into. So, because again, if you don't like that, that's why I say you might want to apologize to people, including yourself, because you did a disservice to everybody. I feel like you kind of got their hopes up a little bit, and then it's like, oh, it's a letdown in the day. Like if you produce something and it's, I don't want to say bad, but like if it's not the best, okay, that's workable. Like I can work with that, but you didn't plan properly. I feel like now you're gonna skimp, you're gonna shortchange us, and now it's like we've already seen you do good work before. You got to keep that standard going. So that's why I say I say my bad. I apologize. But that it seems like you might differ a little bit on seeking forgiveness aspect of that.
I mean, if a person misses a free throw, do they have to pay for it by apologizing?
I mean, depends on what the free throw that was. If it was at the beginning, if it was at the beginning of the game, or if it was at the end of the game, yes, you need to apologize to the fan base. Like, I don't care who it was. You missed free throw at the end? Oh no, champ! I need that apology right quick, and you might need to toss me a couple bucks. So okay. So for example, when I say like seeking like forgiveness, right? Whether you're an athlete, whether you're anybody. So
we're transitioning.
Transition on to the episode. So if y'all ain't noticed, we about to talk about some actual stuff now. But in sports, I'm a sports head, so you might hear some athletes from time to time. Travis Hunter plays on Colorado with Coach Prime and them. Shadur Sanders and all them. Shout out to y'all boys. Even though we just beat y'all, go USC Trojans. He kind of got a little. Travis got hurt. I don't want to mention the guy's name who hurt him too much, so I'm gonna say his name one time.
Why?
I don't like him. That's all. I was gonna call him dude after.
But if you say his name, and this show has an impact on him negatively, now he's got to figure out how to forgive you, right? For messing his life up.
All right, fine. I'll call him.
It's your show.
I'll call dude by his name now. Henry Blackburn, that's his name. But no, they're playing Colorado. It's a rivalry game, right? Like the coach is talking about, when I talk with people, usually my shades and hat are off, and if Colorado's coach, that's primetime Deion Sanders, he usually has a hat on with some shades and probably a chain or two. So he fits that bill. So it's a different environment going up against one another. And early on in the game, Henry sits up there and hits Travis while he's out of bounds. It was a dirty play. So Henry, if you watching, you was quite dirty at that moment, champ. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. And I don't think you should have been playing football for the rest of your career. But that's just me. That's me. That's in. Yeah, I don't like dirty plays regardless. I don't care what sport it is. If you're displaying, there's a difference between competition and being dirty.
No, that part I get, right?
So that is the reason why I say
it's unsportsmanship.
Very much so. So
that part I get, but I would have this question, like in hindsight 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's had a lot of questions and interviews and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does he feel like he deliberately did that intentionally to hurt him? Or was he caught up in the moment and he was just amped up and it just came out?
So if it was like an accidental play, right? In basketball.
What is he saying?
I haven't heard that part. I know they went bowling recently, Travis and Hunter. So I know they went bowling recently. I'm pretty sure they had a nice little conversation and whatnot. But I also think too that was more so for optics for Travis. Like I don't know if Travis. I don't know how Hunter necessarily felt in that moment.
So I don't want to be sounding like a pundit, right? Because I have an intel,
right?
And so I almost said something. Let's just say I know a lot about intelligence,
right?
And one of the things we talk about in the intelligence community is prove the truth. So before we write up a op or a fact or whatever, we have lots of facts, right? We got to prove the truth. So you can say what you said,
right?
But I can't, because to me it's like, all right, factually, do we know what was going on in his mind from a conversation, or are we making a lot of assumptions based on our own experience, our own background, our own knowledge, our own culture, and placing that on him as if these are his thoughts?
Oh, it's all assumptions. I can tell you. I can tell you that right now.
So you make the assumptions. I'm gonna focus on. All right. So they had a date. I mean, it is right. It was on the calendar. It could have been 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or whatever. So that's a date on the calendar. And they talked. I would be curious to know what they talked about to understand why did he hit him.
Yeah,
because you said he shouldn't play football for the rest of his life.
Career. He can play football. Yeah, he can play football outside of it. I don't care.
He shouldn't have a football career.
Yeah, not a professional. Because I think you're also teaching.
Depending on what he says.
Yeah, you can come back and say, all right, my bad. And I didn't mean that. And you can't really prove someone's intentions. Like you can try, but like I don't think you can really prove, especially in that moment, because it's a competitive game too, right? And it's an injury riddled like sport. Like it's football. You're not just slapping somebody.
Has he done that regularly? I'm sure they check the footage on, I don't know, many games prior.
Yeah, I haven't heard a report of that
thing.
I haven't heard a report of that's a thing. But I also know, too, this was a highly touted game. Like, everyone was waiting for this.
Which is why I say he could have been amped up.
But if you Colorado State, though, all right, if you're in football, you know how to not hit somebody. Or if I'm in basketball and I know someone's about to lay the ball up, I'm not going to try to undercut them. So I know, like, at a certain level, you know what to do, what not to do.
I get it.
So it's like, to me,
but in a split second, the neurons could be forming a new pathway.
That's fair.
You ever seen a boxing match happen where after the bell rung, the other boxer got hit?
Ooh,
happens a lot. Bell rings and you still punch.
I haven't seen one recent.
Because you might not have heard the bell. You might not have been paying attention, even though you should have been, right? And so he could have been in motion.
Right.
Like, I'm going to hit this dude.
Right.
I'm going to hit this boy. I'm going to knock him out. And he's so tunnel vision to hit this guy that he ain't paying attention whether he's out of bounds or not. He has one mission.
But see, that's a problem, though.
I get it's a problem, but what I'm saying is that's part of being amped up.
Yeah. But I think also as being a D1 athlete,
lack of control.
Yeah, and you got to have control if you play in sports, especially football.
But man, I've been teaching martial arts for over 20 years, right? And most people between white belt up to black belt, right? We sparring and whatnot, kicking me, hitting me, punching me, doing all kinds of stuff in the face, whatever, by accident. I got kicked in the leg and the nuts so many times by accident, right? Man. I mean, literally.
That's not. Would you say that's a dirty play, though? I wouldn't classify that as a dirty play.
I mean,
it hurts.
You could classify it because you know that you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
You're told these are the rules.
Okay.
You know, like when I'm in the tournament fighting, I have rules, right?
Right.
Now, I could violate those rules because I'm just trying to take this person out.
Right.
And then Reggie, you shouldn't have kicked him in the back. I'm like, well, he was in the middle of turning. Well, once his back was turned, you shouldn't have punched him in the head. I'm like, well, I was already going to punch. The fact that he turned, what I'm supposed to do is stop.
Okay.
Technically, you are. But I may be in such a zone when that anxiety is pumping.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I broke this dude's nose, knocked him out, sent him to the hospital in a split second. And I didn't realize I did it until afterwards. Like, I gave him a fake and he was still standing there like a golf ball on a tee.
Yeah.
His head was the golf ball and his body was the tee. And I did a jump, spinning round kick to his head, and his head was just waiting for my foot. Had I known that he was going to be waiting for my foot, I'd have hit him just for the point, not to knock this dude out and send him to the hospital. He go home with his family, broken nose and face all bandaged up and everything. I felt bad and I apologized to him. Yeah, I went bowling. That's my point. And so now, should they have told me I shouldn't be in martial arts tournaments for the rest of my life?
So I feel like it's different in this scenario. But let me ask you, because I'm talking in the football game, right? Travis is already out of bounds essentially, and Henry.
I thought,
yeah. So like to me,
it was like a flagrant foul.
That's what I'm saying. So like in your scenario, I've done sparring before, and like I had to go up against the dojo master's daughter before, and like, you know what I'm saying, she hitting us with a whole bunch of moves, and what I'm like, hey yo, this is cheating right here. But she gets us with a couple of legal moves too. But it's fighting though. It can happen in that point in time, but it's 1-on-1. So if you're out of bounds, I see it. I can stop it. He kind of went out of his way, it felt like, to go tackle Buddy, because he went around his own teammate to go tackle Travis. So that's why I'm like, it's the egregiousness of it. I'm like, I can't rock with that. I can't rock with that.
But he's a college student.
That's fair. He's still young.
You played ball in college.
Not to his degree, but yeah, I did.
And so lots of mistakes and learning and growth and development opportunities, because you're not pro. You're just a student. And that's the purpose of that whole element, is to train you. And I get it, right? It's sensationalized now. It's big money now. But you're still just 18, 19, 20-year-old learner. Right?
That's fair.
And so therefore, how do you learn if you don't make mistakes? How do you learn if you don't have errors? Same thing back in leadership. Like, just because a person's in a leadership position doesn't make them a leader. And they impact families every day negatively. Right? And so, but they learn from their mistakes. They learn. So I would be curious to see him 6 months from now, right? Next year, and to have an understanding of, is he playing better football? Is he playing by the rules better? Is he more conscious and aware of his actions?
Right.
Because we don't know his upbringing.
That's a fair
He could
point.
have daddy issues, right? Or mommy issues, or he could have been bullied going. I mean, you never know what his whole background is that led up to him doing that. So to that extent, all right, are we blaming him 100%? Or can we also look at some of those other elements and cultures?
That's fair too.
I mean, I hate to do this, but it's kind of like racism, right?
Yeah.
Racism is learned for the most part. So when a person presents themselves to you and they are presenting themselves in a racist manner, do you give them grace because their mother and father was racist, their grandfather was a card-carrying Ku Klux Klan member, and therefore every Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday, and get-together, that whole cultural element was indoctrinated in them since birth up to age 20, and that's all they know. Now they come across you, and they've been trained to have this mindset. Now, for them to transition from a diversity, equity, and inclusion world and to be a little bit more understanding of human beings is going to be a hard corner to turn because that's not who they are. However, there could be a significant emotional event that occurs that causes that person now to at least entertain a different mindset from what they were trained. So that's why I said, with him, I get it. It was egregious. I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, man, the team members, it's a wonder both teams ain't fighting right.
I was about to say, yeah, he should
right.
He could have got dragged real quick.
But then even that's a whole level of maturity,
right?
From Deion's perspective, probably like
you had to.
We came here to play football.
Yeah.
Now I get he did what he did, and he took our boy out. This is how we're gonna kick their ass. We're gonna kick their ass.
You have to. We're
gonna score. We're gonna follow the rules. We're gonna kick. We're gonna run. We're gonna catch. We're gonna block. We're gonna do all of that stuff so well, the Martin Luther King theory, that the living, the dead, and the unborn couldn't do it better. And let him go back and watch the playback of his score and our score. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life, in addition to that playback of that foul. That right there going to eat him up. He may end up needing to see a psychiatrist
because of that. I mean,
different perspective.
Yeah, because I will say, to your point, we don't know his upbringing, so that could have led to whatever his decision making was at that moment.
Right.
I will say this though, I know like people make that statement, like racism is taught, right? I do hear that, but I think other things are taught as well, and I know for a fact I've learned things that I don't necessarily believe in. So like I do hear people when they say, "Oh, well, I was taught this." So like, yes, I will give you a little bit of leeway. I'll give you a little leash. But on the same time, though, if it seems like you still that same person, now you're just telling me an excuse. And you know it's wrong because you wouldn't make an excuse. Like you would have been like, yeah, this is me. I accept it.
I agree with the ownership of that behavior from that cultural understanding, training, and everything else. But some people don't necessarily know it's wrong until they do, right? There are a lot of folks who do things because that's the way they're trained. So culturally, this is what they know. I mean, years ago, man, people used to, back in the 60s, people smacked their wives in the face.
Yeah, that's tough.
And it was taught to do that by their fathers or the movies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know that was bad.
Okay.
But because they thought that was normal, and there was a lot of stuff we normalized based on even the historic bow wave of slavery, right? I mean, technically, we beat our kids. Listen, we beat our kids. That's slavery, whipping people, right? But when you grow up with that normalization of that culture, you don't know that's bad. You don't know that's wrong. And so therefore, you perpetuate what you know, because there are things you don't know until you do. And that's my point. You don't know until you do. I mean, I was educated improperly growing up. And I was dyslexic and illiterate. So how would I know? People are like, well, you should read it. I can't read. So
right,
well, how would I know? Somebody's going to tell, nah, everybody in the hood together. They know the same thing I do. I don't know, right? And so to that extent, now, at what point do you forgive a person for what they didn't know?
See, so like to this day, there's there's this guy who I went to school with. My ninth grade year. To this day, it's like it screwed him. Like and nah, for real, because I remember I'm in class, I'm in homeroom.
So do you hate him or don't like him?
I don't like using the word hate. I really don't. So I'm gonna say dislike, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a word that would be closer. But like he said, God must be looking down on us because the black man's about to be voted in office. And he said that in high school. And he was quite popular in my high school at the time too, by the way. I ain't dropping names. I'm just saying, if you ever want to find out who it was, you can always come at me. But like, I feel like that was additional to what he learned. Like he added like context. I don't think that was something he just regurgitated.
He said that to you directly?
He said that to our class. And mind you, I'm the only black person in our class at the time. I'm also 5'2", chubby. I don't fight. Like
ninth grade.
Yeah, like
you were chubby?
I was short and chubby. I was 5'2". And a little chubby. Like little chubby.
I can't picture you. But like, I gotta see that picture.
It's not like Kyle Massey and or like Corey in the House and like no, it's not.
I'm not naming names.
No, I'm saying like yeah, it's not like that when they were young. It's not like it's just a little chubby, like yeah. But not like I personally don't. To this day, I don't like that man just because of that statement. I think he heard what his parents were saying and his family, and he ran with it. Because this is also a same guy who was trying to get on our basketball team and was kissing my ass. So that's why I'm like, I don't respect that sort of thing. Because now it's like, I'm curious, has he changed? How I don't think he has. But
so to the point of this show, which we really didn't tee it up fully, that we're talking about forgiveness, right? So that's a person that you're never gonna forgive?
Possibly. Like I don't want to say that though, because that makes me sound so terrible. In my head, it does. Because like there's two people at my school where it's like, yo, please don't ever call me for it. Like help, nothing. I gladly would say I won't give it to you. But I'm also trying to. It's not like they have power over me.
So what does forgive mean in your mind? Because I hear this word used all the time.
See,
especially in the church. So
I think forgive to me is that instant that occurred to you in a negative manner. You have to let it go. Don't let it bother you. Don't forget it though. But it also sounds a little spiteful. So I guess when I think forgive, it's in theory, it should be to forgive and forget. Like you understand the situation, you can move on with your life and call it a day. That's ultimate forgiveness for me. I don't know if I can reach that point though, because it's very hard to forget. It's very hard to forget. Like
I hear you. I'm listening to you talk about the ninth grade, man, and to that extent, it just talking about it may conjure up some things that you remember, and all of a sudden you have a flashback, post-traumatic stress, right?
Hey,
PTSD, and you're like, man, you know, because he said something that was hurtful.
Yeah,
and so therein lies where I think I want to call it a cliche of forgive and forget, right? I don't know who came up with that term, forgive and forget.
I hate it.
It's like every time you get in a situation where one party is talking about their pain,
mm-hmm.
and another party is from the outside in, from the outside looking at you with your pain and telling you to forgive and forget, like that's going to take away the pain.
It's not.
And so I believe, I know you waiting to hear me say what I said last time when I said, you know, F forgiveness, right? But the point is, I believe that the word forgiveness and forget doesn't have a significant impact on your energy and your feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, women, right? You know, I did some research and it told me that women are raped more than what most people are ever aware of.
Yeah, they don't report it. Yeah, oh my gosh.
And so going extreme, you know, do you tell all the women out there who've ever been raped to forgive and forget? Do you tell their brothers and their fathers and uncles who had to go through that journey and that experience of pain with that female for them to forgive and forget? I tell you what, let my daughter call me and tell me somebody did something to her like that and violated her. Now, I will have a very challenging time. Matter of fact, first of all, I'm not forgiving. And I'm never going to forget.
Can't forget.
Because that's what post-traumatic stress disorder is, right? I was in the military. Man, okay, we did a lot of bad things in the military and other people did bad things to us in the military. Are we supposed to forgive and forget that stuff? No, right? And so you can't. You know, I mean, I've been called the N-word so many times. Mm-hmm. So here's how I've grown to learn how to handle it. Mm-hmm. First of all, forgiveness to me is just a word. Right?
I heard it. It's just a word.
It's just a word to me. And forget, I mean, unless somehow, you know, I was so traumatically hurt that I forgot, that's forgetting. Mm. But I can't intentionally forget something. Yeah. Like, you know? So how am I going to intentionally forget, you know, getting punched in the face and stabbed and shot?
Oh my God. Yo, if something. No.
And so the point is, that the way I handle it now at my age is I am in control of my brain.
Yep.
I have the ability to make choices of yes and no and how I receive things. Mm-hmm. And so I can receive a racist person and look at them and feel bad about it. Like, you know what? That's so sad that you're so ignorant. I mean, your mom and your dad and your family raised you to hate me simply because of the color of my skin. That means that you are actually not as smart as you think you are because this is your mindset and you don't have control over your own mind. You've allowed everybody else to control your mind to the point that you don't control it. Yeah. And so everything that you're saying to me is not just from you. You're just a pathway for everybody else to channel through you to call me a name. Right? Now, there's that on many scales, right? People say mean things to other people. Mm-hmm. But how you receive them is your choice. And are you in control of your own brain? Or are you allowing that person saying something to you to be in control over your brain? Because whoever is in control of your brain operates the body.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say controlling the brain, right? And there was something that I was reading, you know, you always hear if you can't forgive and forget, like, then, you know, someone is living rent free in your head.
I never heard that, but it does sound like that. That's a reality.
So then by going off that standard and off that statement, is it like, can we say F forgiveness? Because again, if you can't forgive them and forget it, then like they have power over you. Like that's the word around the street.
So can we say F forgiveness? I believe that any human being can say anything they want.
Not can't. Should we? Because it sounds like if you're giving someone power because you can't forgive and forget, then do you want to give them power? For example, like I know I have, like I've told you about things I'm going through. So like I don't think I'm giving these people power if I can't forgive and forget. But I also know too they are relevant because I can't forgive and forget. So I mean, how do you like same with Travis? Like Travis, well, he apparently forgave Hunter, at least had the conversation. So it seems like he forgave us.
All right. So to that end, I think that we put too much energy into focusing on everybody else and not enough energy
on ourselves
into healing ourselves.
That's a bar. Okay.
And so regardless of what anybody else say, think, or feel about me, right? Their feelings have no impact on me unless I allow it to happen.
Okay.
No matter what you say, think, or feel. I mean, we scream and yell at the television in the middle of a basketball game. You probably do.
All the time.
Right? And does the person hear you?
I hope so, but no.
Right. So that's your energy that you're controlling to allow your anxiety and stress level to go way up in the air and the sweat and to lose your voice and your heart rate go up just because of an electronic device showing a picture. And then you have all this energy that you want to channel at this electronic device. Now, how does that electronic device receive your energy?
The same way it shows me my problems.
So that's the same way you can receive anybody else's energy. Just look at every human being out there.
But see, the TV is an inanimate object, so it don't have those emotions.
No, but the people on the TV do. You ever watch a movie and cry?
Yeah.
You ever watch a movie and get scared?
Very, very few.
I get it, but you ever watch a movie and have some sort of emotional impact, right? All right, it's still an inanimate object, but you had that experience from watching that. The point is, how do you train your brain to go to such a higher level that everybody is, I don't want to mineralize human beings, but let's just say they're just human beings. They're just human beings.
No, that's true.
And so, it's like watching any animal in a zoo. Right? We're animals.
Facts.
Living in a big zoo.
Facts.
So if a person presents themselves to you, as long as they don't touch you, that's different, right? Because now they've aggressed upon you and you got to defend yourself, right? Survival of the fittest. But if they're just communicating all kinds of stuff, you can choose to get mad or not. You can choose to understand the magnitude of what they're saying and who's saying it and recognize they're ignorant or inexperienced or have not been trained, have not been educated, or cultural differences. You can respect the cultural differences. I mean, years ago, pygmies, they did cannibalism, right? Eating people. Some societies say that's wrong. Other societies say we gotta eat.
Survival of the fittest.
I mean, and so the point is cultures, right?
Yep.
In Saudi Arabia, I lived over there. And whatever was the offending thing that created a felony was getting cut off. Yes.
Hey, yo, what?
If you,
I didn't know what's
if you murdered somebody or did something like that, you get your head cut.
Oh, man, I'm not too mad.
And if you stole something, you get your right hand cut.
That's tough.
And the rest. So the point is culture.
Yeah.
Right. So the forgive and forget piece is sometimes a clash between cultures.
I think one thing, though, you can appreciate, even if it's a clash between cultures, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you've been more around the world than I have, I think one could appreciate effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I do something and I'm in your culture and I'm wrong for that, if I'm genuinely saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and I'm trying to make up for it, cool, I can work with that. If you're constantly doing this, though, and it's the same stuff over and over, I don't really believe you. Yeah, I don't believe you're really forgiveful. So you're not really forgiving me.
Right. No, I agree with you. But that's why I said forgiveness is a term, it's a word. And what's the impact on my energy once it says, Trey, I forgive you. So I feel good for the moment.
Right.
And I forgive you. And I feel so good, right? But then, I could be watching something and it triggered that damn trigger. Or shit. Right? So did I really forgive you? Right? And therefore, to that extent, I'd say the energy should be put into trying to control your own energy.
Yeah.
When you have full control, it's hard to have full control, but when you have control of your energy, then you have choice of how you respond.
Yeah. Now, as you say, you got a choice, in how you respond. And in situations where you're trying to ask for forgiveness, right? You don't necessarily control all of those. I'm sorry. When someone's asking you for forgiveness, you have more control. But when you're asking for forgiveness, you don't have as much control, I guess.
So you don't have any control over the person.
Yeah.
But you do have every control over
yourself. Over yourself.
Like if I'm going to ask somebody for forgiveness, and I have, right? I'm not going to say I never use the word.
Right.
I don't think I go to a person and say, please forgive me. I may go to them with a more detailed explanation
as to why you did something.
Why I did something, what I'm saying, and why I'm saying this, and how I am remorseful and sorry about what I may have done.
Yeah.
and that I come to a new level of understanding and awareness of the impact of what I've done. And I feel real bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I want to let them know that the Reggie experience you had on that day, I've relived that many, many times. And I realized how wrong that was. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I want to let you know that I'm very sorry for causing any kind of feeling or energy or whatever that may have occurred as a result of me saying or doing something. Mm-hmm. To me, to summarize, say, hey, Mark, man, can you please forgive me for doing such and such? That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough.
Need way more detail.
Yeah,
and you just show the people that you actually thought about how you harmed them.
Right, and you did harm them, right? And so, will you please forgive me? You know what? Suppose they don't want to forgive you.
Mm-hmm, exactly. How do you deal with though getting rejected? I mean, because I think getting rejected from an apology can apply so many. It can apply to a job. It can apply to if you're trying to court a man or woman. So I mean, you're just dealing with rejection at this point in time. How do you personally deal with that? Because
So the way I deal with it is I allow myself to go through the momentary stress, because some stress is good, right? Prolonged stress can lead to depression.
Yeah, that's true.
But momentary stress happens.
Yeah.
You know, but it's for a moment because it shocks your body and it sends different type of shock waves and neurons all flashing to allow you to calm back down, right? It's kind of like a hot flash is designed to cool you off. Okay. Sweating is designed to cool you off, right? So sometimes stress has a benefactor of now you can woosah.
Right.
So I allow it. Then after that, I'm still in control of my mind that whether this person acknowledges what I just said, whether this person forgives me or not, that's their energy. Mm-hmm. So I did my part.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable and calm and relaxed in me doing my part because my intentions were good.
Yeah.
And so if I did all of those things through that intention, all right, you don't have to forgive me. Mm-hmm. And this, I think, is where people say you got to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's another term, right? They say you got to forgive yourself. And so to that extent, it's still just a word. Mm-hmm. I got to forgive myself. And I hear this, and this is, I guess, this gets to the crux of why I always call forgiveness a word, right? When a person says you got to forgive yourself, are you a psychiatrist or a doctor or a specialist that you can educate, train, and develop me into understanding all of the things I need to do to forgive myself? You're going to walk this journey with me. You're going to walk this pain with me. And whether it takes 2 months, 2 years, or 2 decades, you're going to help me understand the words that just came out your mouth so that now I know how to do that? Or are you going to be like me, telling you, hey, I'm going to put a concrete slab there. It's 2 inches thick. Punch through it. You're going to break your hand.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when a person tells another person to forgive somebody else. Mm-hmm. That person may not have the capacity, the understanding, the cultural development to even know what that means.
Yeah.
It's just a word.
Facts.
So to me, if you are going to be bold enough to tell another person to forgive somebody else, then you better get in that mud with them.
Yeah, gotta get in the trenches.
Experience all of that stuff they're going through and feel the hurt and the pain and the agony. You know, stay over their house when they're crying. You know, if they become an alcoholic, you got to take them to AA. Yeah. If you're not willing to do all of that work to help a person, you could actually do more damage telling them you need to forgive him.
Yeah. Like, so I had a cousin who relatively recently, I had a cousin who told me, hey, suck it up. Like, that's how I take that. It's like, how I'm feeling is like, it's similar to, oh, forgive and forget. Like, no, you don't need to just suck up how you're feeling, bro. Like, it's toxic energy. And I feel like if you think that way too, you may want to change that mindset. Because as we're saying, you know, if something's affecting you negatively, like, how dare I say, hey, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me,
Right.
but it's a big deal to you.
Right.
So how do we make that best possible? So like that person, like my cousin, not in my
That
trade.
reminds me of that song by Arrested Development, Mr. Window. He said, $2 may not mean a whole lot to me, but it means a big deal to him. Go ahead, Mr. Window. You know, Mr. Window was a homeless guy and all other kind of stuff. So the point is, when you put your value of something and transpose it to somebody else as if your value is their value, sometimes you actually devalue the other person.
That's what you're doing. Because that's literally how I took it when I heard, oh, suck it up. Like, that's like, that's kind of tough, champ.
Now, if it's in a training environment, I'm a coach, you're a basketball player.
Something small.
And you'd be like, yo, Reggie, man, this dude bumped me. Man, suck it up.
You might well that's a suck it up moment. That's a suck it up moment. That's not toxic.
That's the way the game is played.
Yeah, that's part of the game, bro.
I know you mad, and I know you're upset, but we're here to play a game.
Which let me ask you this now, because you know life is considered a game, so stuff just happens in life. So could we also say the same thing about, well, you know, something might be considered toxic for you, that someone could be like, oh, that's just life. I mean, is that a fair statement as well? Because we did just kind of, I guess, devalue someone else's feeling. Like if someone say, oh, I got bumped out, and start crying, hey, yo, suck it up. What are we doing right now? Like, so like, I think how we treat that person might be similar to like maybe how my cousin treated me too.
I think that in the context that I was using it, keep in mind I was in the military, right?
Right.
So you train the way you fight.
Right.
So you've already been bumped 1,000 times in training. You may have been bumped 100,000 times playing this game. And you just got bumped again. And so you have been trained to get bumped and keep playing. You want to stop playing because you got bumped, or you want to have this discussion because you got bumped. You know, it's like, okay, you got bumped. Suck it up and deal with it, right? In other words, I know you got bumped. I saw you get bumped. You know you got bumped. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's all stop and discuss. We want me to tell you. I know we got this game going on, the clock still going, everything else there. But you know what? Referee, time out.
I need a 30. No, full. Give me a full. Give me a full.
All right. Everybody, bring it in. Okay. You got the full. What do you want to talk about? Because I could talk about the bump after the game is over.
Right.
But right now, I don't have 30 seconds to discuss with you. I only had 3 seconds. You're one person. That means I got 9 other people, 5 on each team, that I'm paying attention to while I'm listening to you.
Yep.
You're now negatively impacting the game. Why are we here? Why are we here?
No, that's fair.
So suck it up and deal with it. Took me a second and a half of my time to tell you, to listen to you and say, suck it up and deal with it.
Okay.
Or I can give you 5 seconds. Or I can give you 10. You tell me how much time you want because you initiated this action.
Okay. So
you've been bumped 10,000 times.
Okay. So it's the repeated offense. It's like, you know, you first get bumped. Okay, you might be able to explain that.
I mean,
you're just learning.
I got a grandson. He was on the basketball team. Well, he was playing basketball at the sports center down there in Virginia, and he was learning, right, at 5. So when he got bumped, you know, he may have gotten mad. He may want to take his ball and go over here and play by himself. You know, he may have sat down and cried, or he may have gone after the player. He may have done a whole lot of different actions when he got bumped. And all of those actions he did or would have done were learning opportunities that a coach would stop and have a conversation with him about getting bumped and listen to him and understand. But by the time he's 10 years old, if he's been playing ball for 5 years,
he's still crying about it.
And then by the time he's in college, he gets bumped and comes to the coach and says, I got bumped. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
We can talk about this after the game, but right now,
that's fair.
It ain't about you.
Yeah.
It's about the team.
Yeah.
It's about winning.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Facts. So for all y'all hoopers out there, stop complaining so daggone much. Jason Tatum, stop complaining. Although, you know, Duke, brotherhood. Love y'all.
I would tell every sports player on every single team to understand that it's just not about them.
Got to.
And to that extent, it's a team sport. And if it's a team sport, it is about the team. You know how they say take one for the team?
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's facts.
Go back to forgiveness, because we got on a tangent. You'll take this segment.
But I mean, outside of I didn't talk about everything I want to talk about today. Outside of the flowers part, which, I mean, I don't know if you got anyone to get flowers to today. If not, that's no problem. We can always do that on the next one. I'm just asking.
No, I mean, you're the one that came up with that last time, and I gave Will Calloway flowers.
Do you want to do one every episode? That's my question. Should we do one every episode?
I'll leave that to you, because a lot of times you come up with the answer and you put it in a Socratic method, like I'm supposed to answer the question that I asked, and I want the one who even asked the question. So the Socratic method would technically be, what do you think?
I'll say this. If I had to give anybody flowers right now, it's kind of a person who's been kind of inspirational over the years. Give a shout out to Oprah. You know what I'm saying? That is someone I'm trying to be like when I get older. Like, I know people say that, and it's like, nah, you trying to be better. I kind of want to be like Oprah. Like, I want to be like, oh, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Like, see how generous that seems? Like, yeah, so like, and just the good work she's done. Yeah, I'm sure she's had some issues back in the day, or even now today. But when I hear Oprah's name on a consistent basis, what I think of and what I hear is power. Like, she owns her own network and named it OWN. So, I mean, and she's inspiring me, a black boy from Fayetteville, North Carolina, who was born in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate moments like that. And I don't think people like that get too many flowers.
That makes sense. And I agree. I think I talked about her with someone else, just in terms of all of the girls that we talked about in an episode of all of the girls that she's taking care of over in Africa and for the rest of their life, right? In that line, I would give flowers to two organizations. One organization is AAEFA, and the other organization is BIG. AAEFA stands for African American Federal Executive Association. BIG stands for Blacks in Government. The leadership of those two organizations, and I want to say institutions, but they're really nonprofit organizations. Sole purpose is to change the culture of government from being a traditional white male-dominated environment to being diverse with equity and inclusion of African Americans and people of color, right? It started off being about African Americans, but now we have, Asians, Latinos, and other folks in both organizations. But it is the leadership who tirelessly works 7 days a week, all day, all night. I mean, I don't want to call out names, but Tyra is retired from the government, and she works full time. Bill Boston, I said the full name, I said Bill. He works full time for the sole purpose of mentoring young African American leaders to grow up in the government, to be leaders, senior executive service, and run the government, right? Condoleezza Rice is an example of that. I talked about how Stedman talked to us. He was the last keynote speaker, but Colin Powell was the keynote speaker before him, before he died, right? So this is the level. And if it wasn't for these two organizations, and many more, I mean, I'm a life member of NAACP, right? But if it wasn't for these kind of organizations, none of us as African Americans could achieve the things that we're achieving now, because we're standing on the shoulders of giants who went before us. And again, I mean, I'm from the projects, the hood, 703 Jessup Place, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19121, right? And so we used to, in the gang, they'd be like 12P. But the point is, it's because of these organizations that provided a pathway for me to be where I'm at. And that's another organization in the government called Pathway, right? Pathway. For young people to have a pathway into government.
That's fair benefit.
And then for people in the AAEFA program to mentor these young people to finally get into the AAEFA program and BIG, Blacks in Government, And then from there, become senior leaders and running the government at the highest level.
Training for leadership.
Right? More than just training for leadership, but it's mentoring, it's training, it's educating, it's developing, and it's sponsoring them for leadership. So I want to give flowers to all of them. And I'll even say this, in these organizations, it's 80% plus Black women running it. Literally. It's when I'm in the room, it's a handful of fellas in a room full of ladies. And so if I were to pitch marketing, recruitment, I would say, fellas, brothers, look up AAEFA, AAFEA, Google it, and BIG, Blacks in Government, African American Federal Executive Association, and join. It may cost like $125 a year, right? So people, yeah, man, I'm driving this Mercedes, it's BMW, I got a suit. Man, a year's membership costs less than 2 weeks worth of gas money. But it does so much more for our people that allows people like me and you and others to grow up and become executives and leaders. And so just be a member and get involved. But the point is, I want to give them flowers, man, because they deserve them and can't give enough of them.
I appreciate that.
That's what flowers say.
Okay. All right, that's cool. I got to do one more because I definitely forgot to say the last one too also. But I got to give a shout out. I wore the jersey last time. I got to give a shout out to Natasha Howard. Make sure the camera heard me. Natasha Howard, you know what I mean? Because she didn't have to do what she did for me.
What she did for you?
I made a video on YouTube. You know, I was highlighting a couple of WNBA players. You know, went off their highlights, was just giving a little commentary. If you want to go check it out, GABPod on YouTube. But she actually took the video off of YouTube, like recorded on her phone, and then put it on her page. And this was months ago. But again, I just want to say I appreciate you. And ever since, she's been relatively supportive. Then I made another video. It was the same thing on YouTube. I just made it so that it's in a better viewing. And I put it on IG for her. And then she shared it on her page. So right now she has 2 videos.
She following you?
She follows me. We trying to make a little networking connection. I'm gonna try to I want to get on the show.
Your craft and what you're doing.
She does. And like when she first followed me, you know how people usually be like, "Oh, come on the show." No, I hate that. Like, I want you to have a genuine connection with me. I want us to be actually friends, like cordial. You know what I mean? So hopefully one day we can get her on the show and talk about some good stuff.
Where does she live?
She out in Texas. Like she on the Dallas Wings. Yeah. Or I could fly out that way because I went out to Houston before, and where her team is, it ain't that far. So like I could make it work. But again, I need her to be more comfortable with me. Just saying, hey, y'all, I'm going to show up to block. Oh, he a stalker. Like, that sounds a little terrible. See, I ain't going to pull up on you like that. But I do want to give you.
What kind of flowers you want?
Just an appreciative flower. Just an appreciative bunch of flowers. Because again, she did not have to showcase my video on her page. Like, she commented on the video. And at first it was like on YouTube. And at first I saw the name and I was like, that could be anyone's account. And then it just so happened that she shared it. And then after that, like that video kept getting likes. Yeah. So and again, I don't want to lose that connection. I also don't want to abuse that connection as well. Right. So, but I just wanted to say thank you again. It was months ago, but like still that meant a lot to me. And we're the same age. So it's not like I'm not trying to put on a pedestal. I'm not trying to fanboy. I'm just saying, yo, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I know. So.
And she's a human being, right?
Exactly.
She's a person like everybody else, just living life. And she saw it, and she was probably thankful, just like you're thankful, because she's a human being.
Exactly.
Man, I like that. That's good energy.
That was. But I think that about closes off the show. We apologize for having to end it, though. See what we did there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, Carol Burnett, you know who she was?
I don't, actually.
Of course not, man. She old enough to be your great-great-grandmother.
That might be.
She was a comedian, and at the end of her show, she would say something to the tune of, I'm so glad we had this time together just to laugh and sing a song or two. And before you know it, comes the time you have to say so long. Anyway, they made a whole thing that every time they closed the show, that there was that jingle and the cast would come together and sing that.
That's funny.
So we got to figure out what we're going to use to close the show.
Might try to do that. Might try to come up with a little jingle.
What do you say for your Get a Bucket show?
Please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. This is Reggie. We're the host of Just Living Life. So hope you all had a good one, and take care.